I always thought betrayal would come loud. A slammed door, a lipstick-smudged collar, some half-baked excuse stammered over the smell of cheap cologne. Turns out, mine came with candlelight, a reservation I didn't make, and a man wearing a shirt 2 sizes too small. We were at an Italian place Monica swore by. Dim lights, overpriced wine, and music soft enough to make people believe their marriages weren't falling apart. She'd said, "We need to talk. It's important." That's how I knew it wasn't about groceries. When I walked in, she was already seated. Across from her sat Chase Donovan. You know the type, smug grin, hair sculpted like a Lego piece, and a handshake probably tested in front of a mirror. I'd heard his name too many times already. The colleague who just gets her. Monica looked at me like I'd just been cast in the wrong play. "Logan," she said sweetly, motioning to the chair across from them. "This is Chase." Chase leaned back, smirk locked and loaded. "So you're the husband." "The husband," I repeated, sitting down slowly. "Yeah, that's me." Monica's hand was too close to his thigh for my taste. Not touching, not yet, but close enough for my gut to start a drum solo. Chase didn't waste time. He leaned in, eyes locking on mine. "I'll make this simple," he said, his voice like he'd practiced it. "You can leave quietly, or face me like a man." I swear, I almost laughed. The arrogance was Olympic level. Monica sipped her wine like she wasn't just watching our marriage burn between the breadsticks. I took a breath, smiled just enough to confuse him, and said, "You want your teeth whole? Or in pieces?" The color drained from his face. He didn't expect me to call his bluff. Monica gasped. "Logan, stop embarrassing me." Embarrassing her. That was the part that stung. Not the betrayal, not the setup, but that she thought I was the sideshow in this little performance. That night didn't break me. It woke me up. Because one thing became very clear as I watched Chase's smirk fade. I was done being the unsuspecting husband. From that moment on, I wasn't just going to play defense. I was going to play a much better game than both of them. The ride home was quiet. Not the peaceful kind of quiet. The kind that hums like an electric fence, ready to spark at the wrong touch. Monica sat in the passenger seat, arms crossed, staring out the window like the trees had better conversation than I ever did. Finally, she broke the silence. "You embarrassed me." I almost swerved. That was her takeaway. Not that she ambushed me at a restaurant with Mr. Protein powder. Not that she basically announced her affair over carbonara. No, her ego had a scratch. "You brought your boyfriend to dinner," I said calmly. "I didn't embarrass you. You did that all by yourself." She scoffed. "You're being dramatic. Chase is just a friend, right? And I'm just an Uber driver you forgot to tip." She didn't laugh. I didn't expect her to. That night, I didn't sleep. Not out of heartbreak. I was past that. I was planning. Because if Monica wanted to play dirty, she had no idea how much dirt I had ready to shovel. First thing the next morning, I called an old friend, an attorney who owed me a favor from way back when I helped him get through a scandal of his own. Let's just say, the man knew how to draft a prenup loophole so wide you could drive Chase's oversized ego through it. "Logan," he said, voice low and serious. "If you're asking what I think you're asking, this isn't about reconciliation." "Reconciliation?" I said. "No, this is about chess." She thinks she's the queen. I'm just reminding her the king runs the board. Over the next few weeks, I became an actor in my own house. Calm, smiling, even affectionate. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, I was collecting bank records, phone logs, emails she thought were deleted. Monica, bless her delusional heart, didn't notice a thing. She was too busy texting under the dinner table, too busy laughing a little too hard at her phone screen, too busy coming home with excuses that would make a high schooler blush. And I played along. Working late again? I'd ask. "MHM," she'd hum. Not looking up. "You're right," I'd say, kissing her cheek. "You deserve the overtime." She smiled, convinced I was clueless. But here's the truth she didn't know. I was 10 steps ahead. And while she was writing her little romance novel with Chase, I was writing the ending. Monica always fancied herself the smarter one. She had that, "I'm playing 4D chess while you're still learning checkers" attitude. But the funny thing about people who think they're clever, they get sloppy. It started small. One Saturday morning, she left her phone on the kitchen counter while she showered. It lit up with a text, "Had a great time last night. Can't stop thinking about you." From C. C for Chase. Or Clown. Either one worked. I didn't touch the phone. I didn't need to. A screenshot wouldn't do justice to the kind of storm brewing in her own arrogance. She'd hang herself eventually. All I had to do was hand her the rope. Later that day, she waltzed into the kitchen, hair damp, smelling like a body wash I didn't buy. She hummed, an actual tune, while pouring her coffee. She never hummed. I smiled over my mug. "You're in a good mood." She smirked. "Just slept well, that's all." "Must have been some dream," I said lightly. Her smirk twitched, just barely. Crack number 1. Over the next week, I fed her confidence on purpose. I complimented her outfits. I encouraged her late meetings. I even offered to cook when she claimed she was swamped. And she believed it. Hook, line, and Chardonnay. Then came the second crack. One evening, I got home early. Her car was already in the driveway, which was odd, considering she'd texted, "Running late tonight, don't wait up." I walked inside quietly. The living room smelled faintly of cologne I didn't own. "Monica," I called. From the kitchen. "Oh, you're home early." She looked startled. Too startled. She held a glass of wine with both hands, like it was the only thing keeping her upright. The lipstick on her mouth didn't match the one she usually wore. I tilted my head. "Late meeting get canceled?" She hesitated. Just for a second, but it was enough. "Yeah, last minute." I smiled. "Lucky me then." She laughed nervously. Crack number 2. That night, while she slept soundly beside me, I forwarded every suspicious email I'd found to a secure folder she didn't know existed. Bank statements. Credit card charges at hotels that didn't exactly scream business dinners. I wasn't ready to use them yet. Not even close. But soon. Very soon. You'd be amazed how quiet betrayal can be. It doesn't come with fireworks or dramatic ultimatums. At least not at first. It's subtle. A missed call. A new perfume. The way she suddenly starts caring a lot more about her phone battery being at 100% than about me being at 0. By the time Monica realized I wasn't the oblivious fool she thought, it was already too late for her. It started on a Thursday evening. She was in the bathroom, hair wrapped in a towel, humming while she applied a face mask. I was sitting on the bed, laptop open, pretending to scroll through work emails. In reality, I was looking at the credit card statement she didn't know I'd already printed from her laptop. Hotel Indigo. Dinner at a place called The Grove, a restaurant we'd never been to together. A jewelry store purchase. Not for me, considering I hadn't seen a new watch or cufflinks in years. I closed the laptop and leaned back. "So, big meeting tomorrow?" I asked casually. She froze for half a second, barely noticeable, except I noticed everything now. "Yeah, early morning." "What?" "Just wondering if you wanted me to drop you off. Save you the drive." "Oh no," she said quickly. "Too quickly. I'll need my car. Might run errands after." I nodded slowly, watching her avoid eye contact in the mirror. Funny thing about liars. They think their lies are clever until you shine a flashlight on the seams. "By the way," I said, keeping my voice light, "ran into Mark from your office at the grocery store. He asked if I was going with you to the client dinner tomorrow." Her eyes flicked up in the mirror, sharp. "Dinner? With Mark?" I tilted my head. "Yeah. Weird, right?" He must have been mistaken. She forced a laugh. "Definitely mistaken. I'll be at the office all day tomorrow." "Of course you will." I smiled, and she turned back to her reflection, pretending she hadn't just revealed more than she intended. That was crack number 3. And unlike the first 2, this one came with panic behind her eyes. Friday morning, she left the house in a new dress. Red. She hadn't worn red in months. Not for me, anyway. I let her think she'd slipped out undetected. Truth was, I'd already arranged the next step. A buddy of mine, Ryan, works in private security. Good man. Discreet. He owed me a favor from years back when I covered for him in a mess at work. I called him earlier in the week, told him what I suspected. "Just want photos," I said. "No confrontations?" he asked. "Not yet." So while Monica was smiling across a candlelit table at Chase, I was sitting in my office with a file folder Ryan had hand-delivered. Photos. Timestamps. Proof. And I'll tell you something. Seeing your suspicions confirmed doesn't sting the way you think. It's not a knife to the heart. It's clarity. It's like finally finding the source of a smell that's been rotting in your house. Disgusting, yes, but relieving once you know. When she got home that night, she smelled faintly of wine and excuses. I didn't say a word, just kissed her cheek, told her she looked beautiful, and went back to reading the paper. And the more I acted normal, the more uneasy she became. By the following week, her little mask of confidence had slipped enough for me to see the nerves underneath. At dinner one night, she asked, "Logan, are you happy? With us, I mean." I set down my fork slowly, looked her right in the eyes, and smiled. Happier than ever. She blinked, thrown off. "Really? Of course," I said. "Why wouldn't I be?" Her laugh was nervous, brittle. She didn't push further. But I saw it in her, the gnawing doubt. She'd expected suspicion, confrontation, maybe even begging. She wasn't prepared for calm indifference. And the thing is, that calm wasn't an act. Not anymore. I'd stopped caring about her affection the moment I knew it was bought on credit from Chase. Now, I cared about the endgame. The next turning point came on a Sunday morning. She was in the kitchen, scrolling on her phone, when she suddenly snapped it face down as I walked in. "Good morning," I said, pouring coffee. She plastered on a smile. "Morning. Who was that?" I asked casually, nodding at the phone. She hesitated. "Just Sarah. From work." I sipped my coffee. "Funny. I thought I heard a man's voice." She blinked. "You didn't." "Maybe you're right." I shrugged. "Must be my imagination." Her smile faltered. She wasn't used to me playing this game, smiling, calm, giving her just enough rope. Later that day, she tried again. "Logan, you've seemed different lately." "Different how?" I asked. "I don't know. Just not so reactive." "Not so." She waved a hand. "Not so you." I chuckled. "Guess I'm growing up." That answer didn't comfort her. It rattled her. Because for the first time in years, she realized she couldn't read me. That night, I lay awake while she slept. I stared at the ceiling, replaying every move I'd made so far. The photographs, the statements, the lies I let her get away with. She thought she was pulling the strings. She had no idea she was the puppet. I reached over, pulled the file folder from under the bed, and flipped through the photos one more time. Her hand on his arm, his lips too close to her ear. The receipt for the hotel suite. I whispered to myself, patience. Because the best part of revenge isn't the reveal. It's the wait, the slow build. The moment they realize the ground beneath them isn't solid anymore. And Monica? She was about to find out just how far she'd underestimated me. The very next morning, as she left for yoga, I kissed her cheek and slipped a small envelope into her purse. Inside, one photo, just one, of her and Chase, hand in hand, leaving Hotel Indigo. I didn't say a word about it. I didn't need to. By noon, I got the first panicked text. "Logan, can we talk tonight?" I let it sit. Hours. Then finally replied, "Of course. I'll make dinner." And when she came home that evening, I was waiting with a smile, and the knowledge that for the first time in this entire game, Monica knew she wasn't holding the winning cards anymore. I cooked that night. Nothing fancy, just grilled salmon, roasted vegetables, and her favorite Chardonnay already breathing on the counter. A peace offering, she probably thought. When Monica walked in, she looked like she'd just been called to the principal's office. Her makeup was flawless, but her hands trembled when she set her purse down. "Smells good," she said too brightly. "Figured you'd be hungry after yoga," I replied, pulling the salmon off the pan. Her eyes flicked up, startled, like she'd forgotten her own lie. She smiled quickly, covering the crack. "Yeah, yoga was great." I set the plates on the table, poured the wine, and waited. I didn't bring up the envelope she'd found in her purse that morning. I didn't need to. It sat between us like a live wire. We ate in silence for a few minutes. She pushed the vegetables around with her fork, barely touching the salmon. Finally, she cleared her throat. "Logan, I think we need to talk." I sipped my wine, leaned back in my chair, and nodded. "All right. About what?" She blinked, like she hadn't expected me to be so calm. "About us." "Us?" I smiled faintly. "I thought we were doing great." Her voice wavered. "You found that photo." I tilted my head. "Photo? Don't play games with me," she snapped, her mask slipping. "I'm not playing," I said evenly. "But I'm curious. Which photo are we talking about?" Her lips parted, no sound coming out at first. That silence was golden. It told me everything I needed to know. She didn't know how much I knew, and that uncertainty was going to eat her alive. "Logan," she said finally, her tone softening, "it's not what it looks like." I chuckled. That's the oldest line in the book, Monica, and usually the least convincing. Her eyes flashed. "You're spying on me." I set my wine glass down carefully. "Funny. I thought you were cheating on me. But sure, let's make this about my lack of trust." She looked down, fingers tightening around her fork. For the first time in months, she had no rehearsed line, no smug grin. Just silence. I let it sit. Silence, when delivered correctly, is louder than shouting. Finally, I leaned forward. Here's the thing, Monica. I'm not mad. Her head snapped up. You're not. No, I smiled, calm, steady. I'm enlightened. You've shown me who you really are. And believe me, I appreciate the honesty, even if it came a little late. She frowned, confused. That wasn't the script she'd expected. She wanted outrage, tears, maybe a slammed door. Not me sitting there, smiling like I already had the winning lottery ticket. Logan, she tried again. I made a mistake. One mistake. I raised an eyebrow. Which one are we talking about? Hotel Indigo? The Grove? Or was it that little red dress dinner last Friday? Her face went pale. You? No more than you thought. I finished for her. Yes, I do. Her fork clinked against the plate as she set it down. She leaned back in her chair, arms crossed. So what now? You want a divorce? I studied her, letting the question hang. Then I smiled again, slow and deliberate. Not yet. That rattled her. I saw it in the way her fingers twitched, the way her eyes darted to the side like she was trying to calculate her odds of talking her way out of this. What do you mean? Not yet, she asked cautiously. I leaned forward, lowering my voice just slightly. I mean, you don't get to decide when the curtain falls. I do. She laughed nervously. This is ridiculous. You're acting like you have some master plan. I didn't blink. Who says I don't? Her smile faltered. We finished the meal in silence. She barely ate a bite. I cleaned up, humming a tune I knew would annoy her because it meant I was unbothered. When she finally went upstairs, I stayed behind, poured myself another glass of wine, and sat in the quiet. I could hear her pacing in the bedroom, opening and closing drawers, muttering under her breath. The cracks were widening. Later that night, as I slid into bed, she whispered, Logan? Are you going to tell anyone? Ah, there it was. The real fear. Not losing me, losing her image, her reputation, the perfect little life she'd curated for social media and cocktail parties. I smiled in the dark. Why would I? What you and Chase do with your time is your business. She turned toward me. So you don't care? Oh, I care. I opened my eyes, staring at the ceiling. I just prefer to play the long game. She didn't reply, but I knew she was wide awake, staring into the dark, wondering what I meant. The following week, she started acting different. Too nice. Making coffee in the morning, asking about my day, even suggesting a weekend trip, like we were suddenly the poster couple for forgiveness. But her eyes gave her away. She was nervous. Every smile had an edge of desperation. Every laugh sounded like it was rehearsed. I let her think she was winning me back. I kissed her cheek when she handed me a mug of coffee. I thanked her for the effort. I even agreed to the weekend trip, though I had no intention of going. Because while she was busy staging her redemption arc, I was busy moving assets, contacting the attorney again, and preparing paperwork she didn't know existed. I wasn't planning to divorce her tomorrow. No, that would be too kind. Too expected. I wanted her to wake up one morning and realize she'd already lost everything. Her reputation, her comfort, her illusions, without me ever raising my voice. And the beauty of it? She'd never see it coming. That night, she curled up next to me in bed and whispered, I love you. I kissed her forehead and whispered back, I know. But inside, I was already smiling at the ending she'd never see until the curtain dropped. Because revenge isn't about rage. It's about patience. And Monica? She'd just stepped onto the stage I built for her, and I was about to close the trapdoor. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that people like Monica don't crumble all at once. They unravel in threads. Quiet ones at first, the kind you barely notice until you realize the whole sweater's half gone. And Monica? She was coming apart faster than she knew. The first sign was small. She started checking my phone. Not discreetly. She thought she was subtle, but I'd see her eyes flick over when a notification buzzed, or notice how she lingered an extra second when I left it face down on the counter. I let her. In fact, I encouraged it. I'd even accidentally leave messages open, texts from my lawyer labeled under some bland name like Dr. Whitman, emails confirming wire transfers, calendar reminders for meetings she didn't know about. I wasn't cheating, not even close, but I wanted her to think I could be, to feel that sharp, gnawing insecurity she'd gifted me so generously for months. One night, she finally asked. Logan, she said softly, as we sat watching TV. Is there someone else? I didn't look away from the screen. Would it matter if there was? Her sharp inhale told me I'd hit the mark. You're joking, right? She pressed, her voice a shade too tight. I glanced over, smiled faintly. Relax, Monica. If there was, I'd be sure to hide it better than you. Her mouth opened, then snapped shut. She turned back to the TV, lips pressed into a thin line. That was thread number 1. The second thread came courtesy of Chase himself. It was a Tuesday afternoon when I got the call. Not from Monica, from an unknown number. I answered, and a male voice said, Logan Keller? Yes. This is Detective Simmons, Chicago PD. Do you know a Mr. Chase Donovan? I almost laughed. Unfortunately. Turns out, Chase had been arrested the night before, bar fight. Nothing fatal, but ugly enough to make the local paper. And guess whose number he'd listed under emergency contacts? Not Monica's husband. Me. I thanked the detective, hung up, and sat there for a long minute, savoring the irony. When Monica got home that night, she was on edge. Rough day. I asked casually. Fine, she said quickly, tossing her bag down. You sure? I tilted my head. Because I heard your friend Chase had a pretty eventful evening. Her face went pale. You? The police called me. I interrupted smoothly. Funny, right? You put my name down. Guess he figured you couldn't exactly explain yourself if your husband got the call. She stammered. Logan, it's not what. I raised a hand. Save it. I don't need the details. Just interesting, don't you think? How quickly things get messy. She didn't touch her dinner that night. Thread number 2. By Thursday, her nervous energy was impossible to miss. She hovered more, tried harder. Morning coffee, compliments about how sharp I looked heading to work, even packed me a lunch, something she hadn't done since the first Obama term. But you can't patch a sinking boat with good intentions. That evening, I sat at my desk going over documents when she leaned against the doorframe. Logan, she began softly, I just want you to know, I'm committed to us, to making things right. I looked up slowly, studying her face. She was trying hard to sell sincerity, but her eyes gave her away. Too wide, too glossy, like a kid rehearsing an apology they didn't mean. I believe you, I said evenly. She blinked, surprised. You do? Sure. I leaned back in my chair. I believe you want to make things right. I just don't believe you know how. Her lips parted, then closed. She crossed her arms tightly, like she was holding herself together. I can try. I said, turning back to my papers. We'll see. Thread number 3. The Real break came that weekend. We were supposed to go to dinner with friends, couples we'd known for years, the kind of people who still thought Monica and I were picture perfect. She came downstairs dressed like she was auditioning for a perfume ad. Red dress, flawless makeup, heels that made her taller than me. You look different, I said, sipping my whiskey. She twirled slightly. Is that good or bad? I smiled faintly. Guess we'll find out. Dinner went smoothly enough. Wine, laughter, the usual pleasantries. But I noticed something. Every time someone complimented her, she'd glance at me, waiting for my reaction. And every time, I gave her the same calm smile, never too much, never too little. She hated it. She wanted passion, anger, jealousy, anything that proved she still had me wrapped around her finger. But all I gave her was composure. On the drive home, she finally cracked. You're too calm, she blurted. I glanced over. That's a complaint now? It's unsettling, she said, gripping the steering wheel like it owed her money. You don't get angry. You don't argue. You don't care. I chuckled softly. Careful, Monica. You almost sound like you miss the old me. She didn't reply, but her knuckles stayed white the whole way home. That night, while she showered, I went to her purse. I wasn't looking for proof anymore. I had plenty. I was looking for signs of desperation. And I found one. Tucked between her wallet and makeup bag was a folded brochure for a local marriage counselor. I smiled. Not because I believed she wanted to fix us, but because it meant she was scared. Scared of losing the life she thought she controlled. Scared of losing me, not out of love, but out of what I represented. Stability, image, comfort. I slipped the brochure back exactly where I found it. When she came to bed, hair damp, skin flushed from the shower, she whispered, Logan, I think we should see someone. A counselor. Just to work on things. I looked at her, calm as ever. If that's what you want. Her eyes searched mine. And you? Do you want that? I smiled faintly. I want you to feel safe. She frowned, confused. Safe. Yes. I rolled onto my side. Because when you feel safe, you let your guard down. I turned off the light, left her staring into the dark, wondering what that meant. Monica thought she was pulling me back. In reality, she was circling a drain she couldn't see, and I wasn't in a hurry. Because the best part about patience is watching the person who betrayed you slowly realize the walls are closing in, and that you're the one holding the blueprint. The cracks had become canyons. By now, Monica wasn't just nervous, she was desperate. It showed in little ways. She started texting me in the middle of the day. Miss you. Thinking of you. Let's do dinner tonight. Messages she hadn't sent in years. She baked a cake on a Tuesday. She suggested we take a trip to the mountains, just the two of us. It wasn't affection. It was panic disguised as romance. And then she made the mistake I'd been waiting for. Friday afternoon, she called me at work. Logan, could you meet me for lunch? There's something I want to tell you. The restaurant she chose wasn't random. It was the same one where she'd ambushed me with Chase weeks before. When I walked in, she was already seated, fidgeting with her napkin. No Chase this time. Just her. I sat down calmly. So, she leaned forward, lowering her voice. I ended it. I raised an eyebrow. Ended what? Her eyes searched mine. With him. With Chase. I sipped my water. You want a medal? Her face crumpled for a moment before she forced the smile back. I just thought you'd want to know. I set down the glass. Monica, let's be clear. You didn't end it because of me. You ended it because you realized you were about to lose everything. And I let you. She blinked, stunned. For the first time, I think she realized the game was no longer in her hands. After that lunch, Monica doubled down. She played the doting wife so convincingly that even our friends started commenting. She seems so happy lately. One of them told me at a dinner party. I smiled politely, knowing the truth. She wasn't happy, she was terrified. Meanwhile, I moved in silence. My attorney drew up paperwork, the kind that made sure when the curtain finally dropped, Monica would walk away with less than she thought possible. Bank accounts shifted, assets rearranged, investments tucked neatly under trusts she couldn't touch. And I set the stage. Literally. For our anniversary, I booked a dinner party at our home. Just a small gathering. Close friends, neighbors, a few of her colleagues. Monica lit up when I told her. She thought it was proof I was still invested. She spent the week planning the menu, picking flowers, rehearsing the smile she'd plaster on her face when she raised a toast about how strong we are. I watched quietly, nodding at her plans, helping set the table, pouring the wine. All the while, I knew exactly what was waiting for her. Because that night wasn't going to be about flowers or wine. It was going to be the reveal. The dinner started perfectly. Monica glowed, laughing too loudly, squeezing my hand at just the right moments for our guests to see. She toasted to love that grows stronger every year. People clapped. She basked in it. And then, right on cue, I stood. Before we wrap up, I said, smiling warmly, I'd like to share something. Monica's eyes sparkled. She thought I was about to declare my undying love in front of everyone. I pulled out a small stack of envelopes, handing one to each guest. Curious glances, rustling paper. Inside each envelope was a photo. Monica and Chase. Different settings, different times. Hand in hand, lips far too close, caught in moments she swore didn't exist. The room went silent. Someone gasped. Monica's wine glass tipped, spilling red across the white tablecloth. Logan, she stammered. I raised a hand gently. No, please, don't explain. The photos do a better job than you ever could. Her face drained of color. Her friends avoided her eyes. One of her colleagues muttered something about an early morning and excused themselves. I turned to the group. I just thought everyone should know what a devoted wife I've been blessed with. The silence was deafening. Monica whispered, How could you do this to me? I leaned down, close enough for only her to hear. I didn't do this to you. You did this to yourself. The party ended quickly after that. Guests slipped out awkwardly, some not even finishing their drinks. Monica stood frozen in the dining room, surrounded by half-empty glasses and the wreckage of her perfect image. When the last door closed, she turned on me, eyes wild. You humiliated me. I met her gaze calmly. Funny, that's the word I used the night you brought Chase to dinner. Her lips trembled. So that's it. You'll leave me with nothing. I smiled faintly. No, Monica. I'll leave you with exactly what you deserve. She stared, confused. What do you mean? I walked to the study, pulled out a neatly stacked pile of documents, and placed them on the table. Divorce papers, property settlements, bank account statements showing just how little she'd walk away with. Her hands shook as she flipped through them. You've been planning this. For months, I said simply. She looked up, tears in her eyes. So you never forgave me? I shook my head slowly. Forgiveness is free, Monica. Consequences aren't. And here's the twist, the part no one saw coming, not even her. I leaned closer, lowering my voice. By the way, I had Chase sign a little agreement, too. Her eyes widened. What? Turns out your perfect lover has a gambling problem. He borrowed money. From me. I slid a contract across the table. And I now own everything in his name, including that little condo you two used for your rendezvous. She covered her mouth, shaking her head. You wouldn't. Oh, I already did. I straightened, calm and steady. So when you leave this house, Monica, you'll have no Chase. No condo. No reputation. Just yourself. Her tears finally fell. Why? Why go this far? I picked up my glass, sipping slowly. Because you wanted to play games, Monica. But you forgot, I don't play to win. I play to end the game. I set the glass down, turned, and walked out, leaving her staring at the wreckage of the life she thought she controlled. And the best part? She never saw it coming.